Hello, dear friends. We are so glad you're here to learn about the reality of dissociative identity disorder. Welcome to Season 3. We are your hosts, Drew
and Garden System,
a couple of multiples.
We are a married couple, and we both have dissociative identity disorder. Did you know that 120 million people across the globe live with dissociative identity disorder and are often misdiagnosed for 6 to 12 years?
We hope to help educate and dispel myths about DID to help people find the right diagnosis and appropriate treatment as quickly as possible.
Please visit acoupleofmultiples.com and sign up for our mailing list to stay up to date with our podcast, our private paid online DID community called Hearts Multiplied, and to book consultations.
That's right. Drew and Garden System are now offering consultation to help educate and support those living with and treating dissociative identity disorder. You can book an appointment with either Garden System or both Drew and Garden System right from our website, acoupleofmultiples.com.
We hope you enjoy this episode and learn something new.
We appreciate all of our reviews, and we love to hear from you, dear listener, about what you enjoyed the most. We are honored to have multiple sponsors for Season 3. You can find links to each sponsor's webpage in the show notes of every episode and on our website under the Listen to Our Podcast tab. The Institute for Creative Mindfulness, one of the largest EMDR therapy training programs in North America, is directed by Dr. Jaime Pollack, the only EMDR therapy trainer who is out as a plural and offers the full EMDR therapy basic training in a way that honors lived experience and destigmatizes dissociation in clinical work.
We felt so validated when we were able to authentically participate in this training as Garden System. Go to www.instituteforcreativemindfulness.com for a full list of upcoming trainings, both online and in person, offered by Dr. Jaime and her selected network of EMDR trainers.
Bearings therapy is different from anything you've ever tried. You spend your nights worrying about whether you did the right thing, whether you're failing your family, how you and your spouse don't connect anymore, and those things haunt you at night.
You don't feel comfortable talking to anyone. A, you don't want to relive it, and B, you're not interested in talking about your garbage. You may feel lost right now, but I'll be your compass. Get your bearings. Call me today, 214-892-2158. As a certified internal family systems licensed therapist, Tiffany Morgan, owner of Holistic Self-Healing Psychotherapy, specializes in working with dissociative identities through IFS and sculpting.
Known affectionately as Ocean, she brings lived experience with dissociative identities and anorexia, offering consulting, psychotherapy, training, and authoring a book on personal and professional experiences in these areas.
Visit www.tiffanycobb with 2 B's, Morgan.com. www.tiffanycobbmorgan.com or call 520-582-9313 for more information.
Jaime Pollack lives in Central Florida, where she works as a district pre-K special education resource teacher. She also works part-time as an in-home early interventionist for special needs children aged birth to 3. In 2005, she was diagnosed with dissociative identity disorder, or DID, resulting from childhood trauma. Jaime searched for support only to find there were very limited resources available.
Her efforts to find support for herself led her to seek out other survivors living with the disorder. As she found others living with DID, she witnessed firsthand the challenges they shared and decided to shift her focus to help others, like herself, living with DID. Her passion to help others led to the creation of An Infinite Mind in January of 2008.
Jaime spends her free time traveling with her husband, being out in nature, and snuggling her dog and 2 cats on the couch. Jaime, you are a longtime friend of ours, and we are just so happy to have you here with us today to talk about finding community and support when you have dissociative identity disorder.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be on your show. We have been friends for a very, very long time, and I'm really, really proud of you guys to see where you've come from along your journey and to see where you are now and how great you're doing and successful you're being, and now you're helping others in the community. I'm so excited and proud for you both.
Oh, thank you so much.
You. That means a lot.
Aww.
We're so excited to talk with you today.
Woohoo! Yeah, it's going to be great. So let's start off. Would you please tell our dear listeners the story of what led you to creating your organization, An Infinite Mind?
Well, I was diagnosed with DID back in the day. In probably 2007. I have to do the math, but I think 2007. And there wasn't any resources like there are now. I mean, people now who have DID don't realize how blessed they are to have so many different opportunities available to them. Because when I was diagnosed, there was nothing. There was ISSTD, and then there was Sidran, who I don't think is really too active anymore. But that was really the only two avenues I could find anything about DID. There were some. Facebook wasn't a thing yet, so there wasn't any of that stuff. But there was like some message board kind of things, old school style that I found. None of what I found was really positive or encouraging or hopeful. And I just felt it was very sad. And I just felt when I was first diagnosed, I was super alone and super scared. I didn't know what that meant for me, what that meant for my life, what that meant, my future was going to look like. And I just couldn't find any positive examples anywhere. So I decided to make my own. And so that's where kind of an Infinite Mind kind of grew from there.
Yeah, we had to make our own. Somebody had to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we did. Originally, An Infinite Mind was just supposed to be a static website. It really just was not how we are today. Was not the vision. The vision was we're just going to make a clearinghouse of positive resources on a static webpage. Some blog posts, some books that we think were like really appropriate, and great websites and articles, like anything we could find that showed positivity and best practice and whatever for DID. And it was supposed to be just a static website, but that didn't happen.
Of course not, because so much more was needed.
And I'm so glad.
I know.
Yes. I mean, that's exactly what happened. So much more was needed, and we kept getting more and more requests for support and more people visiting our site. And we knew we just had to really try and meet this need.
Mm-hmm. There is a great need, and there still is. So it's great to have an organization like An Infinite Mind.
Yes, we want everyone to know about you.
Yes, the best. I tell everybody.
Yes,
we try and get the word out. We try.
So please explain for those that don't know how the bee thing came about.
Bees
are the best.
So we're the bees. Yeah. So the bees came about kind of inadvertently. So we have a conference every year called Healing Together, and we're hitting year 15 coming up in February, which is super crazy to me. Yay. But I know, right? It's crazy. Somewhere around year 3 or 4, after we had a few conferences, I really started to feel the community coming together. We kept having the same repeat attendees were coming, and we were starting to kind of get the groove, and we felt like a really giant community of people, like that we were working and growing and healing and all the things together. And I remembered back when I was younger, because I'm much older again than you guys are. But there was this Blind Melon video called No Rain that was super popular back when I was a teenager. It was like all the thing.
I remember it. I loved it.
Yeah, it was great. And it's this video, for those who don't know, it's about this little girl, and she's awkward and weird, and she's dressed like a bee, and she's trying to fit in the world and trying to dance and be her authentic self, and everyone is laughing at her and making fun of her, and she goes through the town just trying to find where she fits in, and she comes across this beautiful meadow of all these different unique and great happy people, and she's accepted into this wonderful community of these almost like misfit kind of people, and they all embrace her, and she finds her people. And it just kind of felt that's what this place was for Healing Together. It was like all these people that have always kind of been on the outs of everything. Like I remember even when I was in college and started going to support groups for sexual abuse survivors, I still felt like the outsider because I didn't know I had DID at the time, but I still felt different. And I just always felt odd. And I finally like found this place where I felt so completely at home and so completely with my people. And I guess that video just kept playing in my mind. So on year 3, maybe, or I think it was 3, I shared that story with all the attendees and we played the video and it stuck. And now we've just come the bees and bee themed and welcome back to the hive. And every year we play that song and we dance a good dance to it dressed in our bee costumes. And it's just kind of become the theme song for us.
Oh,
Yeah.
it couldn't be more perfect.
It really is perfect. Yes.
Yeah, the bee thing has taken a life of its own, but I absolutely love it.
I do too. I think it's like the perfect storyline because that's what all of us end up doing when we first get diagnosed and we don't know where to turn to, and like we are trying to find our people who else is like us,
right?
You know, and it's just beautiful.
It just feels so good to find people that go through the similar things. I mean, Jamie, you were the very first person I met that
I remember
had DID. Yes, and it was just like a wonderful experience and just a blessing, really.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's what's so great. And that's what Healing Together does for people and why I created Infinite Mind to begin with, because I didn't have someone like you. Wait. Yes. You know what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Like I was diagnosed, there wasn't anyone that I could talk to and say, how was it? How did it go for you? And I'm happy that I could do that for you. And like I said earlier, be a witness to this incredible journey you've been on and see the hope that people have that, you know, with the right interventions and therapies, you can get better and live a very successful life. And
that's right.
What we try and portray and what you are showing. So I love that.
Yeah. So talking about healing. So how has your healing been impacted by finding your bees?
Oh, so much. I mean, even going back to when I was very first diagnosed, and like I said, I couldn't find any positive thing. The books I found was Sybil and Three Faces of Eve, and you know, there wasn't anything that I felt like made me feel good to have DID and made me feel hopeful that I could be okay with it. I really believed when I got the diagnosis that it was the beginning of the end, not the beginning of better. I really thought like this was just it, and it was just going to get worse from here. And even before we did our first Healing Together, I believe an Infinite Mind was still coming together on paper because we had the organization a few years before Healing Together. We had our first Healing Together conference. So it was in between that time. And I was at home and I was having a particularly rough night struggling with the idea of DID-ness. And there was a 60-minute episode that had come on. And on that 60-minute episode, there was a person who has DID. And it was the first, like on my head, like whipped around. Like, what is this? And this man who was a lovely human being, and we became very close friends later on. But at the time, he was a successful man with a wife, and he worked some connection. He worked with the president of the United States. And so I remember thinking so clearly, like, if this person can find a spouse and get clearance to work for the president of the United States, I can teach preschool. Like, it just was like, okay, like it was the first time I saw like a successful person just living their life with DID, and it totally changed my perception and perspective so much. And then I emailed him right away, and then he became my mentor to me, and like what it was like living with DID and how he went through his therapy. And we became, like I said, really great friends. And he was our first keynote speaker at our very first Healing Together. And he just became such a positive light for me. And that right there is what drove me to really want to make Healing Together what Healing Together is, because I felt that change and shift in me, just finding one person who was like me. And so I was like, well, if we can bring everybody and everybody can see these positive messages of hope with people living with DID, how much better it would be for everybody.
Yes, that's right.
And that's what I hear today, even with people we have coming into our community, right now, they're like thinking that life is over almost, like, and it's not, and this is not, the end to have this diagnosis.
Better. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. With the right resources, it definitely gets better.
Yes, for sure. And that's what I didn't know, because I didn't have that opportunity. And I'm glad that people can have that now and find that and see it.
Yes. So important.
So important.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Finding your bees is everything.
Yes.
Sure is.
Yeah. When then I found all my bees, like then I started an Infinite Mind and Healing Together. And then I found all of these people who were reflections of myself in some way. And that just escalates your healing so much, because you're not doing it alone anymore. It's like now I'm not the odd one or the weird one. And I knew there are people who had DID, but I always thought that I was like the unicorn of DID. Like I just have it a special kind of way, because, anything I could find was so negative. And I was like, but I have a job and I have a boyfriend at the time who's now my husband, but I have all these things. And so I must have special DID, because, is there anyone like me who has it? But then going to Healing Together, the first few, like I said earlier, and then finding my community and my people and being like, no, there's a lot of us that have very successful, positive lives and are doing things. We're just all hiding because we all have the same stigmatic fear about it. So we're all in the shadows and no one's coming forward, but we are there. And knowing that, okay, there was more of me and I could see myself in more people. And I had this community around me who could understand my challenges, and we could grow together and heal together and learn together. It just made it so much. It made me accept my diagnosis and my therapy so much more. The denial really went away for me.
Right.
And denial can be so strong.
It can be. Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm. Okay. How do you believe community has helped improve relationships for people living with dissociative identity disorder?
Well, kind of like what I just said. It's so much better to not do this alone.
Right.
And even having a very supportive husband and great friends who are always there for me. They didn't have DID, and you can't explain what this experience is like if you don't have it, no matter how hard you try.
Yeah. And I think I want to add a little bit here. It's not quite on the script here, but, because I remember being told so many times and hearing so many times that they didn't want people with DID to do, quote, group therapy because, we shouldn't be together. But no, look at what's happened with Healing Together and all the other places that have been created now,
Right. Because the people who don't have DID, they don't understand. They just, they try it. My friends were great. My husband's great, but you don't know the intricacies of living with multiple people in your brain. It's such a unique experience of life, and to really have people who get that, it's life-changing, and it's so much better for your healing to know that you're not the only one who thinks this and feels this. So the shame is less, the embarrassment is less, the isolation is less, the denial is less. It's just better all the way around.
Absolutely. So with that in mind, what inspired you to create a conference that included space for those living with dissociative disorders and their supporters and mental health professionals all together?
Well, what happened was I went to a professional conference of therapists who treat DID. We had the organization at the time, and so I went to go table this professional conference to get the name out for our organization. And I popped into some of the sessions. And when I was in the sessions, I was mind blown at the science. Wow, why hasn't anyone explained all the science to me before? Wait a minute, it's how dissociation happens and the amygdala and all these things. And I'm like, okay, I feel so much less like a flawed human just seeing the science and then hearing the strategies. And I left there feeling so much more empowered and less feeling like I was a failure and all these things. I was like, wait, it's science. Look at these brain scans. Look at all these things. And then I think, well, why isn't anybody else? And why can't we know about this? Why is this secret knowledge only for therapists? I don't understand why people living with DID aren't being told and shared this too. I think we all would benefit from hearing this, because
absolutely,
yes,
it's so useful to know how our brains are functioning outside of, outside of ourselves. Like, it's science, people. Like, I believe in science. So I'm like, it's science. And so I wanted to bring those same kind of people to our community. I'm like, I want to bring these people together and share with my community what I learned in this space. Originally, again, Healing Together was supposed to be for Orlando. For my friends in Orlando and the therapist in Orlando, I expected like 50 people maybe to come there. I brought Robert Oxnam, who was the person I saw in 60 Minutes as our keynote, to come talk about his experiences. And then it was just kind of like, and I wanted the therapist there because I wanted the local therapist to learn about DID and dissociation, because it's hard to find one now. Can you imagine 15 years ago? Forget it.
Yeah.
So I wanted them to learn about DID. And then I thought it'd be great, like, for my husband at the time, my boyfriend, to like know and hear this stuff too. So he would know what's going on in my brain and support me. And I just had this vision of, we will all learn the same information. We will all be on the same page. And then we could all help each other in this healing. So it's not just isolated to the therapist have all the knowledge. And here's our little clients coming in. Like, whatever you say, therapist, because I don't know anything myself. I just wanted everyone to be on the same page.
It just makes sense.
It does. I mean, knowledge is power. Like, why wouldn't you teach the knowledge part of all the things? Like,
right.
It's so important.
That's where it kind of grew from. It kind of was like, okay, now how do I bring this to people? And then back to your point, what you said a little while ago about groups of people with DID being together. I took about almost 2 years. We planned the first Healing Together conference. We spoke to a lot of advisory therapists. We spoke to groups of therapists. We spoke to people living with DID. We really took a lot of time to ensure, everything was safe or as safe as can be. And it was well thought out and planned. It wasn't thrown together like a little bit. And even still, we got more than a few emails from clinicians telling me what a bad idea this was and that we should definitely not do it. More than
it's a horrible belief that they had back then.
Yeah. More than a few. And some of those few have then since become Healing Together speakers. But
love it. Imagine that.
But more than a few sent me emails telling me this was a terrible idea.
That turned out being the best idea ever.
Yep, yes. I know, because you can't bring all those multiple people in one space. Oh, the catastrophe, the chaos. Yeah, I don't know. I just had more faith in people. I think I felt like I can control my system enough to be in a professional space. Others probably could too.
Well, if we're all out there faking it through the rest of the world anyway, I think we all can handle it.
Right. I think we got this. I think we're good. I think we're all right. And I mean, I'm not going to lie that I wasn't terrified that first weekend that we had it at Healing Together one, because their messages had got into my brain a little bit, but I felt like we had spent so much time preparing for it that we what ifed it to death. Okay, so what if this happened, and then what if that happened, and then what if this happened, and then what if that happened, and we felt like we had most the bases covered pretty much.
You obviously do. I mean, I was there the year that there was the service dog issue, and that was a little bit of chaos, but like it was handled so beautifully, it was recovered so well, and it was so quick and fast, right? Like I think like you have to plan for things, but so what if something happens? You just deal with it, and then we move on and keep going. Doesn't mean we stop.
Nope. And that just to clarify, wasn't a service dog issue. It was an emotional support.
Oh, right. That's right. Right. Emotional support dog. I need to be clear about that. Yes.
The service dogs are just fine. And service dogs are still welcome at the conference. But ever since that year, ESAs are no longer permitted at the conference.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. I just want to add that, with supporters, that it's so important for supporters to be able to find other supporters. And the conference has become a great place for supporters to find other people that are supporting people with DID. Because I know for a lot of them, it's really, really hard to find others. So I just want to bring that aspect up of all three, groups being together at the conference, because I think that that's something that maybe, when you have lived experience, yes, come to the conference. When you're a therapist trying to learn more, come to the conference. But when you're a supporter, come to the conference so that you can find other supporters.
Yeah. And that was something that grew out of it organically. I don't think that was original intention. Really was knowledge. It was supposed to be educational, strictly knowledge. And then we discovered the need was so great for that bonding that we started to kind of break off into these little subgroups, and
Right.
the supporters have found it incredibly useful. I think because one, yes, it's very isolating and alone when you have a spouse or a partner who has DID and you don't know how to navigate that because none of your other friends have those same challenges in their relationship. But also it gives the supporters permission to have their own feelings too. Like,
Yes.
so much they have to be strong for their spouse or their partner, whoever, and they have to be like, no, I can't complain because they have it so bad or they're recovering from all of this. And it's just nice that they have permission to be in a space where it's okay for you to complain, and it's okay for you to vent, and it's okay to be angry, and it's okay to be sad, and it's okay. And all the people in the room are other supporters, and they get it. And it's just it's such a great opportunity to finally, as a supporter, get your feelings heard and your needs met as well.
Oh,
That's
absolutely.
right. That's
Supporters need support too. I like that little slogan that LS and Healing Cells Therapeutics says. Supporters need support too. I love it.
They sure
Yes.
do. And there's nothing wrong with them needing support for themselves. They have
Exactly.
No, that's right. Yep, you could be a better supporter when you have support yourself.
And then clinicians too have definitely learned, but they've also we have had several clinician groups come out of the conference who have then formed their own consultation continuing groups after, so they meet other people working with DID, because our conference now brings in attendees from all over the country and all over the world. So some clinicians are coming in from very rural areas, and because our conference is also virtual, it opens up to other rural areas. And so some clinicians who are by themselves out in the middle of nowhere trying to treat DID don't have access to consultation. So it's nice that they can meet other clinicians and then stay in contact through virtual means to continue to have now someone they can consult with and ask questions for and communicate with, which they don't normally have an ability to have access to.
It's just a great way to connect all around for everybody.
Yes, consultation groups are great.
Yes. Yes, they're so important.
They are.
Okay, Jamie, what's at the Healing Together conference? Tell us how the conference is set up.
Well, the conference now is 3 days. It's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And it's for, like we said, people living with DID, their supporters, and mental health clinicians. And sometimes people check all 3 boxes, and that's fine too. And Friday is more of a social day. We know a lot of people are coming in and they're going to be very, very anxious. And so we have virtual options and in-person options that are just more social, so that we start with an open house, like just come in, see the space, get your nerves out, like just walk around, feel it, feel the energy of the space, see the grounding room, see the art area, kind of know where things are. So just get that out of your system. And then we have like a short welcome. And then we break off into smaller groups, and people can have the opportunity to kind of make some friends and connect with people before the heaviness of the Saturday, Sunday starts. So Friday night, we have a little art welcome, get to know you sessions and some yoga and meditation. We have a newbie session where all the newbies can come and kind of learn and talk to some old bees and kind of get a vibe and meet and connect a little bit. And then we end the night on Friday night with open mic night, which is
I'm
super
so excited for.
Man, we have some really talented people out there. Last year was our first year, and we were really nervous about it. Not that it was going to go well or not, but just would people feel comfortable on the first night to want to be brave enough to go and sing and or dance or whatever, play their instruments. And we had to stop it after like hours because we were like, we need to go to bed. I mean, and it was just fabulous. And the people were so incredibly talented. It was just amazing. And this year we're adding a game night too. So there'll be a game room open so people can come and just play some card games or puzzles or Uno or whatever they feel like doing, just to kind of have an outlet to connect on a more social, less stress level before Saturday and Sunday comes, which, are mainly a lot of our actual sessions that have different content. So we have 5 breakout sessions for each block. We have the keynote Saturday morning, and then after the keynote, we have blocks of 5 all day Saturday into Saturday night, and the rest of the day Sunday. And they vary from clinical recommendations and treatment options to supporters and how to support each other to lived experiences. And we have experiential sessions, but they're like hands-on. You can do some art. There's like photo art this year, and I think there's like a dance session. So there's different opportunities to get creative or learn. And actually some people don't go to the sessions at all. Some people just prefer to stay with community and visit our grounding area, which you guys are a wonderful sponsor of, or go visit the creative corner and make some art. Well, the game room is going to be open through the whole weekend. And I think people just really enjoy just hanging out with everybody. The sessions are recorded. Most of them, the agenda will tell you which ones are recorded and which ones aren't. So if they're the ones that are recorded, attendees know we can watch them later. So might as well soak in all the friend time that we can get and watch the recordings later. And then for our virtual attendees, we have an app called Huva, and you can do almost all the same things through Huva. It's just a virtual, but there's a virtual creative corner and a virtual grounding room and virtual breakout groups and virtual all the things too. So we really try and build that community, and there's a little bit of something for everybody.
It's beautiful. The creative corner is my favorite place.
Yeah, I like the grounding room.
Yes, that's a good one too.
The grounding room is really nice. The grounding / sensory room. Yeah, it's the best.
Yeah. And it's nice and it's quiet and it's dark and it's just very relaxing when you need to go in there. So
yeah, it's a great place to decompress. And
yes,
then we have pillows and blankets. Some people do take naps in there, which is fine. If you feel comfortable, go for it. But yeah,
right. There's something for everybody for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, dear friends. We hope you have been enjoying the episode. Would you like to level up your superpowers as a dissociative system? Garden System is now offering coaching services to other systems. Identify strengths, align your system's goals, and find internal peace. We are offering 2 weekly group meetings on Tuesdays from 4:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or Wednesdays, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The groups will start in January and will last 8 weeks for only $160. That's just $20 an hour. Space is limited. Email us at admin@acoupleofmultiples.com for more information. Enjoy the rest of the episode. So what are some things someone with lived experience should know when attending the conference for the first time? What can they expect?
To be overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Really, truly to be overwhelmed. We hear that every time when it's someone's first time, you're going to be overwhelmed. Sometimes we encourage our first timers to maybe try virtual so you can walk away from your computer back to your house and be in your world. Or if it's your first time in person, to really have permission to not be there. You can come to one session and then go hang out by the pool the rest of the time. Like, we don't want you to feel obligated that you have to stay for the whole weekend. So if you come and you're like, okay, this is too much for me. I did it. I showed up. I'm going to leave for the rest of the day. Maybe I'll try again tomorrow. That is fine. It's just when you spend 362 days of the year pretending and putting a mask on and hiding your true selves from the rest of the world, and then you come into this environment where everybody is speaking your language. Everyone is talking we's and they's and us and plurals and littles and bigs and all the conversations that you have always had either in privacy or just with your therapist. And now all of a sudden your whole selves are seen and accepted and appreciated and welcomed. It's a lot. It's a lot at first when you haven't experienced that level of acceptance before. To walk into that, it can be a lot. And then
it's very much an immersion experience.
It is. It's very liberating, but also, yes, very overwhelming.
Yeah. And I try and warn people, like, if you don't know, it can get a lot, because some people are really open about it, especially if you've come multiple years. I get that. Multiple years. And then you have your old friends, and then you see each other, and parts are friends with parts, and then the parts are excited with the other parts, and then they all get together, and there's these big, exciting things happening. And so for someone walking in, you're like, what is going on?
All the masks come off, it's
All
like,
of
oh,
them.
thank God, like,
Yeah,
here we
it is
are.
fine. You can be your little self, your big self. You can be all yourselves. People have multiple name tags. They just change out the name tags. I mean, whatever you want to do, I don't care. It's your
fantastic.
do whatever you want. But it's almost whatever you want. We do have some guidelines, but yeah, it's overwhelming for some people who aren't used to that level of acceptance.
Who've never been able to take the mask off before.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Might cause you a headache, but it's a headache worth it.
It's a worthwhile headache. Yes.
It's a worthwhile headache.
It is.
Bring
I
some
mean, you will find your people. You will find your people.
Yes, for sure.
And the Hoover app too opens up a couple of weeks before the conference starts. So it does give people also an opportunity to start connecting and building relationships prior. So if you're a newbie, like, you can get on there and be like, hey, I'm new. I'm going to be at the hotel on Wednesday. If anybody wants to meet for drinks or dinner, pool, or just
for
talk.
Disney.
Right. Disney. Right. So there is, an opportunity for a couple weeks prior to get on that Hoover app and then start building your community. So when you do get there, there are some people who you already kind of started talking to. And if you really don't know anybody and you would like to meet somebody, you can definitely email me or anyone else with the organization. And we have lots of support bees that will be love to take you under their wing. Big sister and big brother bees. I don't know what we'd call them, but
yes.
That would easily and more than willing to kind of give you the.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
What were some challenges or concerns that you were faced with when you first put together the conference, and how were those addressed?
Well, I mean, the one that you can't put a bunch of people with multiple personalities together in one space because, all chaos will ensue. There was that one. That was the slight concern, but I did have more faith in the community than other people did. The bigger concern, and always is for us, even 15 years later, is safety for our attendees. Right. We try and make the space as safe as we can. We, due to the number of attendees that we have, we can't background screen everybody. I mean, I know some conferences that work with this population do. We don't fingerprint everybody. We just can't. I mean, last year we had over 700 people. There's just no way.
Right.
So we look at it as, how can we, for us, the biggest thing is safety, and not just personal safety, which is a big one, but emotional safety and therapeutic safety. So it's a tiered thing. So let's look at the presenters. Every presenter are vetted. Are what they presenting safe, appropriate, best practice? Are they gonna, or is how they're presenting it gonna be mindful of the attendees? Are there built into the session rooms that if there is an issue, that there's someone ready to support? So we started there. Okay, it's like when we're looking at therapeutic safety, we want to make sure they're getting the best information from our speakers. And I'm not saying it's not controversial information. We don't what's that word? What's that word?
I'm thinking censor, maybe.
Censor. Thank you. We don't censor information. If what you're saying is researched and can have usefulness, then you can bring it. It's not for us to, as an organization, to say we have this agenda and we're only going to allow speakers who speak to this agenda. We want anyone who has a voice in this community, if it's a valid voice, to be able to have their voice heard. And the audience can ask their questions and they can challenge it if they want to in a respectful way. But that's not for us to do. So we look at that with the presentations that come in. Is this going to be safe for our community to hear and be a part of and listen to? Yes, great. Pass. Right. So now let's look at the emotional safety of our attendees. If they're there and something happens, how do we support them? Well, every room has a volunteer, and that volunteer is there to kind of feel the room out. And they will send us a message like, hey, people are having a hard time in room 2, and we'll send therapists or support people to that room to kind of check in and see how they're doing. If they need to, we'll help them get to the grounding sensory room or to the creative corner where they can help get regulated and kind of recheck themselves. We kind of make sure that we offer a lot of varying sessions so there's not too much intensity too much. So we kind of guide the sessions in like an arc. They start off pretty light and then they get kind of heavy midday Saturday and into Sunday morning and they kind of get light again. So we're kind of keeping everyone on a journey, and there's always a couple of light sessions in every block. So if you just need a break from the heaviness, you can just go to some, lighter one. So we looked at that avenue as well. Okay, so while they're there, and now we know our sessions and presenters are going to be mindful and good. So, okay, so now how do we take them on their emotional journey and keep them as safe as we can with that aspect? So there we took care of that. We got the grounding room, we got the crisis therapist, we have the sensory area, like we have all that. So now let's look at the physical space. How do we keep our attendees physically safe as we can, knowing that we cannot background check everybody who comes in. So we designed the conference to have one main door that comes in and one in the same door that goes out. So anyone who comes into the conference space has to go through the main door and pass our table. And they can't get past our table without being a registered attendee. So at least we know that everybody in our space is a registered attendee. Nobody will walk through there. We made sure when we picked our space that it's not like in the lobby of a hotel where people will be passing through, going to the pool. When you walk in that main door, you're into the hive. Like everything in this space is our space. So we at least know that every human that's in that space is part of the conference. And then same thing with the volunteers, and we have a code of conduct that people sign, and we're very strict about the boundaries and the guidelines, and we will remove people if we find that they're being inappropriate in any way. Thankfully, we've only had to do that, I think, once so far in 15 years, knock on whatever wood is around, that people reported someone being inappropriate and they were asked to leave. But we haven't really had, other than a couple of conversations having to remind people, because I think part of the challenge of this conference specifically is we're DID. So I might love Drew and I want to go give her the biggest hug ever. And then 5 minutes later, there's a different part of me that's out. And if Drew comes back to give me a hug, I'm going to scream. So it's reminding our attendees that unlike other places, what might be okay 5 minutes ago might not be okay in 10 minutes. So to always consistently ask for consent. So sometimes we have to remind our attendees, like, hey, before you run up and hug that person, remember they could be in a different state right now. So, always ask for consent. Even if they said, yes, I'm open for hugs 100 times. I don't care. Ask them 101 times.
That's right.
So other than those like minor, like little tweaks that we have to remind people of, people are pretty respectful of the community.
They are.
Of people. We haven't really had any challenges, but like I said, everyone signs a code of conduct and we are very strict on that code of conduct. And speaking of, we're also very strict on confidentiality. What happens at Healing Together stays at Healing Together. We do not allow video. We do not allow photography. We do not allow any of the presentations to be shared outside of the conference. So you will not find any of our presentations on some YouTube channel somewhere. They are locked into the conference app, and everything is locked in the conference app. And when the conference is over, we give you 90 days to watch the videos and continue your conversations in the chat area. And then it's all deleted. It's all gone. We're very strict on confidentiality. You don't have to use your real name when you come to the conference. You have to register with your real name, but you can use whatever name you want on the name tag. So if you don't want anyone to know that your name is Jessica, you can put your system name, you can change it, it doesn't matter. So
we always put our system name.
Yeah. Well, yeah, a lot of people put system names too. Whatever. I mean, why wouldn't you put your system name, right? This is the only place you can. But it's just so people have that confidentiality also built in there. Like no one needs to know if you don't want them to know who you, like, quote unquote, really are. You have a level, and especially great for our speakers, because a lot of our speakers are doing they are doing experiential but lived experience presentations, and it has their personal stories in them, and so we want people to feel comfortable to share that without worrying that it's going to get out there.
Exactly. Yeah,
we really appreciate the safety measures that have been put in place, really thought out.
Yes, thank you. We what if everything, and then this year we're adding more. Because we have a new board member and she added a new what if, and we were like, oh, that's a what if we never thought about. So we are adding even more because we never thought about what ifs outside of the conference. Like, what if there's a tornado?
Oh,
Oh, yeah, I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
We're like, yeah, what would we do if there was a tornado? Or like, what if the fire alarm goes off? Like, yeah, what would we do? Like outside of our control. So now our board member Jen and Kelly are making a new safety video about what to do
Oh, good.
Excellent.
That's
Yes.
amazing.
if there's something like, yeah, because every time there's a what if, we're like, we never thought about that what if, and then we fix the what if or as much as we can prepare.
Perfect. Amazingness.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, we've been at the conference. Our first year was, I think, in 2018, and we've been every year since then. And it has been an amazing experience. I've always felt safe enough to be there, and I've never ever seen any issues at all. Like, it's just always has been a great time, meeting lots of people, learning lots of information, and I just never want it to end.
That is just that everybody says make it longer. I'm like, it doesn't matter how long we make it; it's gonna have to end.
No, Jamie. 369 days, Jamie.
It can't be 365. Although you can make community, and then you can continue. A lot of people make friends, and then they continue throughout the year, meeting on Zoom or whatever, and they continue as much as they can with their healing.
That's why we made the podcast, and that's why we have the Hearts Multiply community now, because I was like, I don't want it to end.
Right. We want to talk all
Nobody
the
ever
time.
does. We do, because we're exhausted, but
no, you work it hard.
Yes. It is a lot of work, and that's what people sometimes, I think most people understand if they, especially after they get there, but we don't have, our board is volunteer, and we don't have like conference planners. Literally, it's the 5 of us, and we're doing it at all. Like, it is not, we don't hire this stuff out. We do hire a consultant who helps us with the tech stuff and helps us navigate, the ins and outs of the legal things. But I mean, like, as far as we're there, it's us running around all weekend doing the tech,
Superheroes,
desk, doing all this stuff, dealing with all the challenges, working with meeting all the attendees. And so when Sunday night comes, we're good.
yes, definitely.
It is a lot of work, and we are all very appreciative of the work you guys put into doing it, so we can have it.
I've had the pleasure of watching it evolve over time. I've been there since year 2, so.
Oh yeah, you've been a long time.
Yeah, I'm a long time bee.
And now you come and you help. Last year, you guys were super helpful with stuffing name tags and.
Yeah, and the grounding room is my favorite, so I'm happy to do that every year.
Yes.
Yep. Well, you can do it again this year.
We'll be there. So, what then is your vision for the future of the Healing Together conference?
We really want to take it other places. I mean, that really is. We're trying to save up a little money so that we can take it, because it's going to be a big expense to start it somewhere new. So we really want to take it outside of Florida, of course, but outside of have like maybe 2, one in the States and then one in Europe. We have a European
one, yeah.
Yeah, we have a large international attendee population, because sadly, we are the only organization that does this in the entire world, basically. So we have attendees that come from everywhere, and it would just be really nice to be able to offer them something closer to where they live, but also that reflects more that their culture and their laws and their regulations and their things, because it's hard sometimes to translate what the United States stuff.
That'd be perfect.
But it's not cheap, and we don't have conference planners, so it will take a lot of work. So that is something we might have to actually hire a conference planner or someone to do. So it is in our future.
Expansion to more places. We're going to take an infinite mind global.
Woo! We really want to bring this to more people and bring it other places. It's just, again, because it's the 5 of us, and we really, really work hard to keep the conference price as low as we can so that people can afford to come, because unlike other professional conferences where their businesses are paying them to go, my husband goes to them all the time, and they're hundreds and hundreds of dollars, but no one cares because the big corporate pockets are paying them. Excuse me. That's not us. So
you do have it very cheap, and I really would like to emphasize how low you keep it, because I've looked up other trauma conferences. It can go up to $1,000 to attend. So you guys do a really good job of keeping this as low as possible. Yeah, and
we do that by unfortunately keeping it in Florida. But we have all of our sponsors here and all of our connections here, so we get a lot of donations, and it's hard to expand it we have to start relying on other people that we might have to pay, and then it all just gets incorporated. So we're trying to make a little nest egg so that we don't have to put that cost into the conference. We are brainstorming. It's percolating. We're working on it. Yeah, we would love to bring it other places.
That would be awesome.
That's amazing.
What I don't want to do is replace ours with a European one. Like, in 28 we'll be in Europe, so no America Healing Together. I couldn't do that.
Oh no, yeah,
I couldn't do that. So it has to be 2. So we have to just find a way we can do 2 in 1 year, kind of a thing. But we're great. We want to.
Well, I'll have to go to the one in Europe anyway. Like,
yeah, I want to go to that one too now.
Yes.
That sounds really.
We're
fun.
working on it. I mean, we're in talks with people over there, so
awesome.
We'll see how that goes.
All right. Well, for the one here in Orlando.
Yes. So when is the next conference and how does one sign up for it?
Well, the next one is February 14, 15, and 16, which we didn't necessarily mean for it to be on Valentine's Day, but it kind of did. So it's going to be a Love Thy Bee weekend. We're just going to embrace it. So it's February 14, 15, 16 in Orlando, Florida. And I know Florida. I know people. I know Florida. I know. I get it.
Florida is warm, people.
And there's fun things to do here.
And I will say that where we have the conference, it's a very liberal-minded area. It's very
Orlando is much more open.
Yeah, it's a very safe place for LGBTQ if you have to be anywhere. In Florida, it's a great place for you to be here. But so it's here in Orlando, but it's also virtual, so you can also enjoy it from your couch, from wherever you may live. And you sign up for it by going to our website, which if you can link it or somewhere.
We will link the website in the show notes, and we'll say it again, like it'll be everywhere.
Yes,
everywhere.
So you can register there, and you can also go there and see the agenda if you want to take a look at what the sessions might look like. You can also look at the bios and read about the different speakers that are going to be there and their different experiences that they have, and all that information is on our website. And if you do it before January 1st, it's early bird, so I think it's $200 in person. Yes. And that includes lunch Saturday, Sunday, and coffee breaks and snacks.
And snacks. There's always lots of
lots of snacks.
Littles will be happy.
Yes. We make sure to get
time.
Snacks for the littles. There's always some little fruit snacks and Teddy Grahams or something out there. And then I think online it's $160 maybe. So not terrible. We have reduced rates at the hotel, so
yes.
We try.
It's fabulous. I can't wait.
I'm so excited. So
soon, just a couple, not even 6 weeks, give or take. Crazy.
It's almost here. So, all right. So what are you most excited about for this upcoming conference?
Well, personally, I love seeing everybody. I really do. The one year we had to go virtual because of COVID was really sad.
So sad year.
I mean, I really just missed everybody so much. So personally, I'm excited to see everyone. I really do love seeing all of my bees. I get, especially the repeat. I love meeting new ones too, but the repeat attendees, it's fun because I only see them once a year, and it's good to hear them catch up on their growth and what they've done in the last year. But I think also this year we're doing the game night, which is new, and I think that's going to be really fun.
That will be.
I'm excited for game night. I love games.
Game night.
We're going to bring sequence.
Yeah, bring all the games. We're going to have a bunch, but you're definitely welcome to bring your own, especially if you live local. And then open mic night is always a blast too. So I'm excited for those.
Yes. Yay. Okay. So how can people follow or find info about An Infinite Mind?
We are on all the medias. I don't think we're on the TikTok though, but I know we're on Instagram and Facebook. And I think that's it so far. We're not good with the social media. We are not. We're old. All the board members, we're all older, and we don't know how to do that stuff. We're not.
But you have a website.
It's a challenge.
Oh, we have a website too. We do have a website, and I know we have Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, so An Infinite Mind is what you want to look for.
Yeah, An Infinite Mind. It's the AN messes people up.
Yes. And Infinite Mind.
The correct grammar.
Yes. It's not A Infinite Mind. Nope.
One of us used to be an English teacher, so.
Yes, I am. I was and still am preschool teacher. So yeah.
Yes.
And Infinite Mind. AN.
Yes.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to tell our lovely listeners before we end?
No, just thank you for listening, and I hope to see some of you in February. And and also too, if you can't make it to the conference, we have our monthly speaker series every month on our website as well, that a lot of the speakers from our conference will then go on the speaker series, because that is recorded and available and indefinitely for watching. So you can go back and watch all the old ones and all the new ones. So for some of our speakers that people really wanted to keep their presentations, we asked them to do a speaker series, so that way it lives forever.
Perpetuity.
You know,
Perpetuity. I don't know.
I tried to sound fancy and professional, but it lives forever on our website. So there are some there that you can go and look at, some of our old presenters and some that are coming up actually for this year.
Yeah, the speaker series is awesome.
There have been some absolutely lovely and amazing speakers. Very enjoyable topics for sure.
Yes. Yep.
Right.
Our January one has a mother and a daughter, and the daughter has DID, and they're going to talk about that dynamic.
Sweet.
Oh, I can't wait for that one. Very nice. All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story about how you found your bees and how you help others do the same. You're amazing, Jamie. Thank you for all that you do, and thanks for talking with us today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. All right. Well, thank you all for hanging out with a trio of multiples today.
We are honored to have multiple sponsors for Season 3. You can find links to each sponsor's webpage in the show notes of every episode and on our website under the Listen to Our Podcast tab. The Institute for Creative Mindfulness, one of the largest EMDR therapy training programs in North America, is directed by Dr. Jaime Pollack, the only EMDR therapy trainer who is out as a plural and offers the full EMDR therapy basic training in a way that honors lived experience and destigmatizes dissociation in clinical work.
We felt so validated when we were able to authentically participate in this training as Garden System. Go to www.instituteforcreativemindfulness.com for a full list of upcoming trainings, both online and in person, offered by Dr. Jaime and her selected network of EMDR trainers. Dr. Wendy Aporta with Bearings Therapy is a marriage and family therapist specializing in military and first responder individuals, families, and couples. She is proficient with clients experiencing PTSD, CPTSD, and dissociative disorders.
For her, helping those with traumatic experiences is not just a job, it is a vocation. She is experienced in multiple modalities and utilizes whatever is best for her clients' needs. She stays abreast of the latest research and treatments to provide the best possible outcomes for her clients. Call Bearings Therapy today, 214-892-2158. From your hosts, Drew
and Garden System,
thank you for listening to A Couple of Multiples, the reality of dissociative identity disorder. This podcast is intended for educational purposes and is not a replacement for therapy.
Listening to this podcast does not constitute a therapeutic relationship with the hosts or any guest speakers.
If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review. We would love to hear what you enjoyed the most.
You can visit our website at acoupleofmultiples.com for additional information, including how to join our new online paid community called Hearts Multiplied, to book a consultation session, to access additional resources, and to also subscribe to our mailing list to receive future updates.
Remember, every system is unique, and your experiences may be different from ours, and that's okay. You matter and are loved for being all of yous.